Important topics from drugs and sex to peer pressure, being socially responsible. None of that is an easy conversation to have. But how often do we talk to our kids about money, about being financially responsible, and how comfortable are we in our own abilities to handle money? Well, thankfully, we've got author Beth Kobliner here to help us dive into this very critical and important subject. She's a personal finance expert and also New York Times bestselling author. Her new book, Make Your Kid a Money Genius, Even If You're Not, offers practical advice for parents on the financial facts of life. This is key. I mean, I've got 3 little ones. You're a mom of 3 as well. First of all, why did you write this book?
Well, I've been writing about personal finance for 30 years, and I was actually on President Obama's Council on Financial Literacy, where we looked into what parents need to know at every age group, whether 3 to 5-year-olds, 6 to 10-year-olds, and so on. And we really found kids as young as 3 could learn basic financial concepts like exchange or needs versus wants in the grocery store. By age 8, there's some evidence that kids are sort of stuck in those behaviors. So you really want to start talking to kids younger and younger. And also by 8th grade, then you want to start having those conversations about college savings. Wow. So I've been writing about this, and it became clear on playgrounds, in the classroom, in college campuses. Parents want to know how to teach their kids.
And start that conversation early, which I love. At what age would you recommend? 8?
I would say absolutely 6, 7, 8. Even as early as 3, though, you can start with really basic concepts. Teach your kids coins. Talk about counting. Kids don't see money anymore. We use plastic or swiping, and we swipe our phones now, and kids don't realize that using a card is buying something. You're paying for things. And I think it's very important that children understand that, and we talk about that. We talk about it with boys and girls. Studies show we talk to girls less than we talk to boys about money and investing.
Well, you bring up a couple really interesting points in your book. You focus on allowances. You also focus on lending money to our kids. So first of all, should we be giving our kids an allowance for chores around the house?
We shouldn't give allowance for chores. It's shown, University of Minnesota did a study looking at allowance, and they found that when kids are doing chores without getting paid for allowance, those chores have a real impact on them down the road. It's a major predictor of will they go on to have a career, or will they even graduate from school. So having chores is important as responsibility and being a team member of the family. Don't tie it to allowance. You can give allowance, and whether you want to do it weekly or monthly, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is be clear and be consistent with your kids. If you say, I'm not going to pay for any more Legos, don't pay for any more Legos. Talking to your kids, letting them know what the expectations are, and don't tie allowance to chores.
How about lending your kids money? Is that a good idea?
Well, it depends. Usually not. And if you're going to lend them, maybe they have high-rate student loans when they graduate from college, and you could give them a lower interest rate if you're in financial shape to pay off their debt. But for most families, you don't want to compromise your own financial well-being as an adult, because down the road, it's going to be your kids as grown-ups who will be having to help you financially. So try to let your kids handle their debts on their own, and don't enable them. Don't say, hey, when they move back home, well, now they can use their money any way they want. That's when they should start saving and really thinking about the future.
Beth, final question. What is the biggest mistake in all your research that you've done that parents make when it comes to money and their kids?
They fight. I think fighting in front of kids has been shown. When they ask college students, did your parents fight about money? Kids whose parents fought were 3 times as likely to have credit card debt of $500 or more than kids whose parents didn't fight about money. So if you disagree, which is natural, with your spouse, take it behind closed doors and don't do it in front of your kids.
Very good advice. The book, again, is Make Your Kid a Money Genius, Even If You're Not, which many of us aren't. This is important information to pass along. Beth Kobliner, thank you for being here. I know you've got a book signing to get to at 7 o'clock.